When I was growing up, I went through a lot of different phases. It's something my family frequently teases me about. There was the geologist phase, the actress phase, a couple of years when I was dead set on going into marine biology. But the two constants that remained throughout my childhood and well into adulthood have been writing and motherhood. Dreams so deep I couldn't get them out if I tried. And after a lifetime of waiting and dreaming and longing, I am just weeks away from realizing my greatest, deepest, most lifelong desire. And to tell you the truth, I feel utterly unprepared.
When I first found out that I was pregnant, I think I really got into this mentality of preparing for pregnancy. It's not that I didn't think about motherhood or what would come after, but I maybe avoided thinking too much about it just because it's a little scary. Motherhood is my most lifelong dream. Maybe because of that, it's always felt a little bit distant and far off. When I've pictured myself as a mom, I always picture a version of me who is better, wiser, calmer, and fundamentally more selfless. I want to be more than I am for my baby. I often struggle with insecurity over just not being enough for the people in my life, wanting to be able to give more than I can. That's striking me in a whole new way as I'm entering this next chapter. But ready or not, he is coming, and he is coming soon. The first and probably most obvious way that I am preparing for motherhood is by readying our space. Over the last few weeks, we have been transforming our home. Maybe that's a bit dramatic. It doesn't look that different, but to me, looking around and seeing baby things all over the house is such a shock every time. The very first thing I did was move my work setup to a different area of our living room to make space for the baby's dresser and changing station, which really doesn't seem that huge, but it felt very symbolically significant. I had the thrift find of my absolute dreams a few weeks ago with this dresser I got for the baby. It literally was my Pinterest board come to life, and it has been so fun getting to go through and organize all of his first clothes. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine actually flew out for a few days to help me kind of nest and get things ready, and it was so sweet and special to just go through the process of washing and folding all of these teeny tiny things, knowing that the next time I do, he'll be here and he'll be with us. I keep finding myself falling into this thought pattern of I have to figure out the right system and the best organizing strategies and where's going to be the optimal place to put things. Not that those questions aren't helpful to ask, but there's just no way to know the answers before we actually have our baby. I not only haven't met my baby yet, but I also haven't met myself as a mom. I don't know what tools or habits I'm gonna find the most value in and what things we as a family are gonna decide don't really hold a lot of value for us. The more I talk to different moms I know and friends who've gone through the process of raising children, the more I realize that there just isn't a one-size-fits-all. When I was building my registry, I asked friends for recommendations. There were so many items where I'd have one friend say, I absolutely swear by this, you need it. And I'd talk to someone else who said, whatever you do, don't get this, you'll never use it. I've just had to make peace with knowing that there is no way to get this right. Simply a process that unfolds along the way. In addition to our home, I am working on getting myself ready for labor and delivery. I'm not doing anything crazy, but I'm trying to take time every day to move my body somehow, if that is going for a long walk or doing some stretching. There are so many great YouTube videos with different stretches, exercises, both for helping prep your body for the experience of labor and also helping baby get into the optimal position, which is definitely ideal.
I officially got the green light at my last midwife appointment to start drinking red raspberry leaf tea, which is now a daily ritual in our home. I might be in the minority here, but I actually really enjoy it. I drank it quite a bit pre-pregnancy just for overall uterine health, and I have really missed it, so it's fun to be back in that rhythm.
The labor prep is something that I will continue to do right up until the baby is born. This weekend, actually, I was having some lower back pain and I was just kind of resting, leaning on the birth ball that I have. We had worship music playing in the background and I had a moment of just realizing, oh, this is kind of what labor is gonna feel like. And it was kind of surreal to have that glimpse of labor and know that it's actually coming quite soon. There's still quite a few smaller projects around the house that I want to get done. Organizing the diaper cart, setting up the diaper genie. And since we're not doing a nursery, setting up our bedside nursery in the bedroom. But right now, the bulk of my time and attention, at least in regards to baby prep, is kind of focused on preparing for motherhood. Thinking a lot about who I want to be as a mom, the areas I want to grow in, how I want to show up in the day-to-day. When I was in first trimester, I asked a friend who was a few months postpartum what her advice was, what she was learning. Honestly, I'm pretty sure she sent me a big text with a bunch of information, but the one thing that really stood out to me was she said, be prepared to move slower than you think you need to. Slowness is something I have been learning to embrace and finding so much delight in, and yet I still find myself caught in a hurry far more than I care to admit. Trying to rush through life with a baby feels not only counterintuitive and inevitably unsuccessful, but also that's really not how I want to show up. I've shared so much with you about becoming more present and more peaceful in my life, and I've never felt more motivated than I do right now. I know that this stage of life is gonna go by fast, and I wanna be 2 feet into it and as present as I can be, while knowing it's also gonna challenge me in entirely new ways. I'm trying to find this mental balance right now of giving myself grace to be new at this and to be learning, and also reminding myself how sacred and special this time is. I just really don't want to waste it or lose sight of that. In January, I shared an article on my Substack called "My Baby is Growing and So Am I." Throughout my entire pregnancy journey, as I've been grappling with this insecurity of not being enough, not having enough to be a good mom, something I've been coming back to over and over. It's just watching myself repeat this pattern of expanding my capacity when I've needed to. I have not had a horrible pregnancy experience, but I have had a lot of pretty intense symptoms that have been very disruptive to my daily life and the rhythms and routines that I previously held. Each time something started, whether it was nausea or insomnia or round ligament pain, it felt completely overwhelming, like it was going to just dominate my life. And each time, I watched myself shift. I watched my capacity expand. I figured out how to live with those things and keep going because I had to. And reflecting on that has made me wonder if this is part of the divine design of pregnancy. In the process of growing life, you're building that muscle of expansion and growth, sacrificing for your baby before they're ever in your arms. I'm not naive enough to think that I know what I'm doing walking into motherhood, or that there is anything to really fully prepare you for the experience of it. But there's a level of confidence that's come from watching my body and my capacity and my energy levels figure out new normals that has brought me a lot of peace.
Watching this back, I think it's important to me to clarify that this fear of not enoughness is not a new thing in my life, and in all likelihood, the fear itself has done far more damage than any actual gaps in my person or capacity. These things I'm doing, these preparations for motherhood, are not things I'm doing to try and resolve this fear or prove myself worthy. The brutal part of this insecurity, this fear, is that enough is so vague that it can never truly be claimed, only aspired towards. So while I am preparing myself for motherhood, for a new rhythm of life and way of being, I am also making peace with the idea of not being enough, of showing up with what I have and what I can, offering my children the best of me in a given moment, and knowing that sometimes that will be less than what I would want to offer them. This is definitely a work in progress, as am I, but while it's certainly a little scary, I am overwhelmingly excited and so filled with joy to be entering this chapter in my life. I can't stop thinking about how it's going to feel to see his face, hear him cry, watch him grow for the first time. I'm so grateful for the privilege it is to become a mom. I can't wait to see how I change and grow over this next season and to meet the new version of myself.